Hello and welcome to a TechHub training video. Today I'll be going over challenge 8 done in Python called the loyal incentive. And basically the background for this is you're working for a company and the CEO has decided to reward employees based on time, the amount of time an employee has been employed by the company. And you are tasked with finding the employees who have been employed for more than 5 to 9 years and more than 10 years. And to start this problem, you're given a CSV file, which looks something like this. And you are tasked with organizing it. And so within the CSV file, you're given the employee's name, you're given their birth date, you're given their social security number, and you're given their hire date. And so in this solution, there are many different solutions to this problem. For example, you can use pandas, and you can even use different things to program in. For example, today I'm using PyCharm to program my solution. And so in my solution, I decided to use system arguments to run my program. That means when I take in one argument through the command line, and then the command line, I'll feed in a argument, basically the in file I want to use, which will be challenge 8 underscore employees underscore data dot CSV. And then I'll also, in this main function, I'll define the current date. So the current date the problem has given us is January 1st, 2023. And so after I define the current date, I'll open the in file, the CSV file, and I will use file.readlines. So this is basically to get rid of this first line, employee's name, birth date, social security number, hire date, because that's really not necessary and would get in the way as I try to filter through each employee. And then I read the rest of the lines. So the nice thing about Python is once it reads one line, it'll automatically start at line 2 the next time. So it reads from line 2 all the way down to the end of this, which is like 4097. And then I take each line or the lines of the data and I input it into organized data with the current date, which is a separate function I created. So organized data takes in lines and it takes in the current date. Yeah, I create a new dictionary right here, and then I loop through each line. And I split the line by comma, separating each one, creating a new list. So it separates it like right here, and right there. And then I join the name back together. So because there's a comma right here, Python interprets this and splits it right here and right here. But I join them back together so I have the whole name, Marty Dunster. And then I find the hire date and I create a date. So Python does not automatically read this date and understand that it's a date. So I help it by inputting it in correctly. So in this one, I input in the year first, then I input the year first, then I input the month, and then I input the day. And I input it into something called data time. So data time is a feature of Python that you import in to allow Python to work with dates. So basically it assigns this date, the time that they're hired at, to a variable called hire date. And so pretty much after that, I can find how long they've been employed by the company by subtracting the current date, so subtracted by the hire date, and then dot days. So it returns it to me in the amount of days they've been employed at the company. So people hired, name, and then service. And so what this line does is it inputs it into my dictionary. And then once each line has been gone through, then it ends the for loop and I return my new dictionary. Then from here, I have a dictionary of all the employees, of their name and how long they've been employed. And so I'm going to filter the employees by year. And so in this function, I input the dictionary of all the employees, and then I filter them and I separate them to how long they've been employed by the company. If they served more than 10 years, then I add them to the 10 dictionary. If they've served more than 5 years, then I add them to the 5th dictionary. And then if they've been there for less than 5 years, then they're added as a new guy. And so I use another for loop and I go through the dictionary's items, which is basically the name and how long they've been employed by the company. And so in order to find how many years they've been at the company, I divide their service by 365, which is how many days are in a year. And if they've been employed by the company more than 10 years, they're added to a 10 dictionary. Say they've only been there for 9 years, then it'd move on to the next if statement, which is if it's more than 5 years. And if it's more than 5 years, then it's added to the 5 dictionary. And then if it's less than 5, if it meets none of these requirements, then it's added to this new guy dictionary. And then in the end, I return the 10 dictionary, the 5 dictionary, and the new guy dictionary. And then I merge the 10 and 5 dictionary together, which is by using this one, which is basically I put the order I want the dictionaries to be in, and it combines the dictionaries and returns them. And then I create a output file, a new CSV, to write each new person into. So I have name, service, and then it all comes from the big dictionary, which is sorted. So the big dictionary, if you remember, it's when we merged the 10 years dictionary and the 5-year dictionary together. And then after that, I use this function to write each line into the new CSV file. And so that's done by 10file.write. And I use write because it writes one line only. And as this for loop loops through each single reference in the dictionary, it will continue to go through it. And so if you look, I also added a hire date. And so I find the hire date I keep my current date and then I subtract it by service times the number of days, how long they've been employed by the company, and then it gives me a hire date. And so that's my function. Here's how it works. So I'm going to open up terminal. I'm going to type in python solutions.py, and then this is my input file, which is challenge employee/data.csv. I click enter, and it creates a new one, which will be right here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.